A string of violent crimes in Towson has the community on edge. Fox 45 News monitoring the situation and demanding answers from county leaders.
Some recent decisions from City Hall have some wondering if Baltimore leaders are ignoring the will of the people. A closer look at the concerns and the impact it could have on the next election.
And after snow this morning, we're back to spring-like temperatures tomorrow. I'll let you know what to expect as the weekend ends coming up.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News at 10.
Fox 45 News keeping an eye on Towson tonight after a string of recent violent crimes near the Towson Circle.
Yeah, taking a live look from that area. So far, all is quiet. Good evening. I'm Vincent Hill.
And I'm Maxine Stryker. After a 17-year-old was shot and killed in Towson Monday, Baltimore County officials spent the week talking about ways to curb the crime.
Yeah, but how safe are residents feeling? I spoke with a mother who says promises from county officials isn't enough. A scramble to get crime under control in Towson.
We're openly exploring all avenues.
Increased police patrols, talks of adding more cameras and license plate readers, even a crime walk Wednesday.
You're going to walk tonight to walk the walk literally and show that Towson is, in fact, a safe place to live.
But the sounds of sirens Saturday afternoon has some Towson residents still concerned about their safety.
My worst nightmare is to get the call that I don't have a son anymore.
Her son, a Towson University student, walking by when shots rang out last Monday.
The one off Joppa, I believe.
That shooting left 17-year-old Trayshawn Harmon dead. And it's not the first time her son was close to gunfire.
One night I came to get him. The road's blocked off for a shooting right next to his apartment complex.
That shooting Super Bowl Sunday. Both crimes still unsolved, despite a tough-on-crime stance from Baltimore County Executive Johnny Olszewski.
If you are going to engage in inappropriate behavior, particularly violent behavior, you will be found, you will be held accountable.
If you commit a crime in Baltimore County, we will find you, we will arrest you, and we will prosecute you.
However, according to Baltimore County Police data, last month there were 22 assaults, 2 robberies, and 3 rapes in the area of Towson Town Center. Fox 45 pressing Johnny Olszewski on if enough is being done.
Until we stop crime, we've never done that.
Not the answer this concerned mother wants to hear.
That's where this town is heading, unfortunately, and it's supposed to be a nice college and a nice town, and, you know, it's like nerve-wracking to feel like, you know, is that day ever going to come where he doesn't make it back to his apartment from school or make it to school?
Meanwhile, according to Baltimore County Police data in the last year, near the Towson Town Center, there have been 65 aggravated assaults, 47 sexual assaults, and 22 robberies.
Well, we're turning now to a city in crisis. In the past few months, there's been a trend of Baltimore politicians pushing back against the will of the voters. First, an attempt to repeal Question K, and now the controversial BGE conduit deal. One political expert tells us this could put some elected leaders out of office real soon. In November, 72% of voters approved term limits for local elected leaders, overwhelmingly sending a message they'll no longer accept the status quo in Baltimore City. But Councilman Ryan Dorsey quickly introduced a plan that would put the issue back on the ballot in 2024, asking voters to repeal the charter amendment.
People lined up to fill the seat are more likely to have been bought and paid for by wealthy and powerful interests, just like Question K itself.
Dorsey refused to answer why he wouldn't accept what the people want. However, Mayor Scott did stand up for voters on this issue.
The residents of Baltimore said, yes, we have term limits. We're going to have them moving forward, starting with that cycle, period. And everyone should just adjust accordingly to it.
But now some argue Scott is going behind the voters' backs after city residents also voted overwhelmingly to block the future sale or transfer of the city's conduit system. A contract with BGE was completed last week, which gives them control of more than 700 miles of the underground system. The controversial deal was pushed through by Mayor Scott, who says the deal doesn't flout the will of the voters, since Baltimore City would still own the conduit. However, many, including City Council President Nick Mosby, disagree.
I don't think this thing was thought through really well. I think it was clearly rushed And I think it was in the best interest of not the citizens of Baltimore. And it was a slap in the face associated with what voters went out and voted for last November.
Political analyst John Deedy says these two examples are a slap in the face to voters.
I think it shows a little bit of tone deafness, the fact that, the voters are saying one thing. And generally, when you're elected, the idea is you listen to what the majority of voters want to say.
And in Annapolis right now, another example of leaders possibly ignoring their constituents as more and more people are expressing support for the Boost program that Governor Wes Moore is looking to phase out. It allows low-income families the chance to take their students out of a failing school and put them somewhere else.
I think it's an important job to listen to what they want, unless there's some sort of extenuating circumstance that constituents are not aware of.
Deedy says if elected leaders continue to ignore the will of voters, it could mean their time in office is coming to an end.
I think that when you choose to not listen to the people who are electing you, it increases only the possibilities of you being seen as out of touch and maybe out of office within a short period of time.
Well, the mayor approved the conduit deal at a Board of Estimates meeting earlier this month without two members of the board, City Comptroller Bill Henry and City Council President Nick Mosby, present. They did not attend that meeting in an attempt to stop the vote. They say the mayor's approval of the deal without them has no legal standing. The comptroller says the deal will be back on the Board of Estimates agenda at their meeting on Wednesday. Just 2 days after the mayor approved the conduit deal, BGE requested annual rate hikes during each year of the contract, increasing the average bill a little more than $10 a month. The Maryland Public Service Commission would have to approve that.
So we want to know what you think. Are city leaders respecting the will of the voters? The polls just opened, and so far 100% of voters say no. Head to foxbaltimore.com/vote and click the Pulse tab to weigh in.
Police are investigating a murder in West Baltimore. It happened around 10 o'clock last night. Police say they responded to a shot spotter alert on Ashburton Street and found the victim a few blocks away on Harlem Avenue. Officers say that victim was in an SUV that had several other vehicles in the block. Anyone with information is asked to call police. Meanwhile, police say 3 men have been arrested in connection with a December 2022 murder. It happened along Pimlico Road in northwest Baltimore. Police say 21-year-old Amar Burris was shot and killed. Authorities say 22-year-old Wesley Lambert was arrested last week. 23-year-old Darian Fleming was arrested on Wednesday, and 22-year-old Carrie Lee Morris was taken into custody on Thursday. All 3 are charged with the murder. And what a difference 48 hours makes. Take a look at this. The left side of your screen is video from Thursday when our area saw record-breaking heat. The high temperature was near 80. On the right, video from today, much of our area saw snow flurries. So let's get right over to meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with the latest forecast. Jasmine?
Yeah, Maxine, what a big difference we had over the past couple of days. We had those record-breaking temperatures, upper 70s, low 80s on Thursday. And then today we had snow move across the state. Now, a lot of this was light snow, so we really didn't see any accumulation. We just had a trace amount at BWI, so very, very low totals. Hopefully you stayed safe and were able to enjoy the pretty snowfall. We were cold as well and still seeing those low temperatures. Right now we're in the 30s across the state with cloudy skies. We'll see temperatures drop a few more degrees. Now today we hit a high of 38, actually early this morning. By the afternoon, it was a lot cooler. But we are in for a nice warm up tomorrow as we reach the upper 50s. The warm trend continues into the upcoming week. I'll let you know how high it gets and when to expect the next weather maker coming up in my full forecast. Back to you.
The entire reason I even want to do this bill and want this bill to pass is so that someone else can be saved.
A Baltimore City family making an emotional plea to lawmakers in Annapolis to pass a bill they say could save lives. How that legislation could help Maryland fight the fentanyl epidemic. And coming up at 10:30, some new key support for Maryland's Boost program. Who's defending it against budget cuts and what the future could hold.
Martin Luther King stated in his lifetime that the next paradigm beyond the civil rights movement is economic empowerment. We have been so involved with crisis in the classroom about crime and education and poverty and the structural damages to families. Dr. King had a point. Until we lift these tides of boats in the economic space, not much will change. So join us this Monday, February 27th, from 7 to 8 p.m. at Hubel Memorial Facilities, where we will discuss economic opportunity, entrepreneurial advantages, and how people can finally begin to realize that they too can also share in the American dream of economic prosperity. Join me, Armstrong Williams, your moderator, and our very special guest.
We're turning now to your session 2023 coverage. Overdoses claim the lives of more than 2,000 Marylanders every year, and a bipartisan bill is aiming to tackle the ongoing problem.
Yeah, the bill would make hospitals conducting drug tests on patients with a suspected overdose automatically test for fentanyl.
Fox 45's Olivia Dance spoke to a family who knows the pain of losing someone to addiction and has more on the changes.
Josh Symes was only 31 years old. Friends and family say he lit up every room he entered.
When I think of Josh, I just think of light. He was a bright soul.
He had a passion for singing and dancing.
He was intelligent and, he loved to sing, and he would jump up in the middle of a room and start singing and dancing.
But in college, he began experimenting with drugs.
His sensitivity had a hard side, too.
For years, Josh went to different addiction treatment programs, getting sober and then relapsing again. And in October of last year, he passed away from a drug overdose.
Was a wonderful son. I'm very lucky to have spent 31 years with him. Fentanyl is just an incredibly potent drug, and all you need is too much one time.
After his overdose, his family and girlfriend Melanie Yates learned that most hospitals don't test for fentanyl in patients suspected of an overdose.
If we're not testing for fentanyl, we're missing that data.
So Yates began researching, and with the support of Delegate Joe Vogel, has now created a bill that would require hospitals to include fentanyl on a urine drug screening.
A new report by the University of Maryland's Center for Substance Abuse Research finds that most emergency departments are screening only 5% of overdose patients for fentanyl. And when fentanyl tests were conducted, positivity rates exceed 40%.
Yates and Josh's parents testified in front of lawmakers this week with the hopes it will become law.
The entire reason I even want to do this bill and want this bill to pass is so that someone else can be saved. This bill couldn't have saved Josh, but it really does have the potential to save so many other people.
His parents and Yates say testing for fentanyl would lead to more accurate data on how many overdoses are actually caused by fentanyl.
It informs the public health numbers, and when they start to see these outbreaks in different places, they can say we need Narcan in there. And if we can develop better medicines and better interventions down the road because we have the numbers, that can save lives.
And even though it was too late for Josh and his loved ones only have the memories of him to hold on to,
He might actually be the best person I've ever met.
they hope if the bill passes, it will help to save others' lives.
Something that maybe could bring some help to others so that people don't have to feel like I do.
Reporting in Baltimore, I'm Olivia Dance, Fox 45 News.
Well, another health-related bill in Annapolis has been withdrawn. It would have allowed minors to get vaccines without their parents' defense. Senator Cheryl Kagan introduced the bill. She's now saying it needs more medical research. But there are questions being raised about the senator's motivation behind the bill after Fox 45 News uncovered she owns stock in several vaccine companies. Taxpayer watchdog David Williams says voters should keep a close eye on Senator Kagan's future legislative proposals.
This is way beyond just one piece of legislation. This is something that needs to be monitored very closely because I can almost guarantee you this has happened in the past and it's going to happen in the future.
Fox 45 News reached out to Senator Kagan's office to ask if she thought introducing the legislation was a conflict of interest. We have not heard back.
Well, another CIAA tournament in Baltimore City is in the books, and before those winners were crowned this afternoon, fans got a day of fun at Fan Fest. The celebration featured live music, food, and more. Organizers say it's a great way for everyone to learn what Baltimore has to offer.
Future. Baltimore hosting this event is a big deal. We want people to understand how amazing our city is here, but also have an opportunity to connect and once again learn about the HBCU experience. It's an experience for the entire family. So even if you have younger kids, there's photo booths and videos and there's gaming and there's just an opportunity to connect with your family and again learn about the Maryland Health Department, learn about the Department of Transportation and what they're doing to make the city better.
Stay with Fox 45 News. Rocco DeSangro will have a look at all the action and the winners of that tournament coming up in Sports Unlimited.
More sanctions for Russia, the latest moves from the European Union today.
And still ahead, a big change coming to Howard County schools next year, how students could be getting more sleep.